Hello and welcome to another episode of Stream of Conscious Noise. And I am going to do it every time like that now. It makes me feel better to have some sort of intro that is always there. You can tell in that first episode I tried that weird little harsh noise thing, and I just decided to not because it seemed annoying. So we're going to go with the weird Minnesotan Russian accent every time. I'd like to thank everybody who's listened to the podcast so far, everybody's been involved with the podcast so far. I've gotten a couple of really nice comments, and so we're going to keep on trucking. This is episode 3 already. That's awesome. I'm super excited. I'm betting you guys are sick of me just talking about gear, so I've got some interesting stuff that I wanted to bring up today, some more business ends, some more practical parts of noise, potentially. What I really wanted to talk about today are formats and packaging and all those little fun things that are kind of specific to noise, because noise pretty much is the last genre that is entirely dependent on magnetic cassette tapes. Realistically, I mean, I've seen a lot of cassette tapes actually being released more often recently. Because if y'all know me, I'm really into like death metal, black metal, all those crazy extreme metal genres also. And I've actually seen quite a few bands releasing tape versions of things, but just not nearly as much as noise. And I mean, I feel like partly that is like a traditional thing, that noise has always been released on tapes. They're cheap-ish, they're easy to store, they're small, they're easy to duplicate, and it's just that sort of deprivation thing where it's not digital, where you can't just slide it into a disk drive. It's a little bit more analog than anything else. So how do you guys feel about tapes? Because obviously that's a vast majority of noise releases, but then again, you also have things like 7 inches and lathe cuts, plenty of 12-inch vinyls, and of course there's CDs coming out. I know a lot of things are being remastered now as CDs. Literally sitting right by my foot is Macronympha's Grind that they finally just put out on a CD version, because it was originally a tape, and then Stella reissued the tape, but it's never been on a CD before, and I'm stoked about that. You know, I'm a CD guy. I like CDs so that I can play them in my car or, you know, just easy. I mean, tapes are awesome. I like tape hiss. Like, if it comes down to it, I prefer tape hiss to like the crackle that you get from playing vinyl. That's just me. I'm sure a lot of people like that warm, crackly wax sound. Me, I just prefer tape hiss. But rewinding and all that stuff. And plus, there's something that just makes me paranoid about tapes where I'm just like, I'm going to wear this out, or I'm going to snap the tape or something. And there's just that slight worry that it's going to wear out. And I think, even again, that is a part of the noise ethos, where Jim Harris of Fusty Cunt mentioned this. Noise shouldn't be easy. And I feel like a lot of people do have that sort of idea about noise, that it shouldn't be easy. And that's the next thing I wanted to talk about, is that besides tapes, packaging. Packaging is really interesting. You know, you see a lot of things where it's just, you know, your standard jewel case. Like I've got right here, I've got the latest seepage on Fantasy Knife. These guys are really good. You should check them out. It's Kieran Aurora. And, yeah. And then you have, let's talk about Fusty Cunts again. You have pouches, and then, you know, those pouches can come with all sorts of interesting little extras. What I have right here is Celluloid Murders Dig Up. It's got a bunch of film tape. It's got a condom with the track titles on it, it has the actual tape, and then I believe it has a broken piece of plastic. Anyway, it's in a pouch, and it's got all this stuff stuffed into it. It's super cool, but, it's kind of hard to store anywhere. And I've got all sorts of other things in, like, manila envelopes with string ties. I've got this thing in a VHS cases. I see quite a few of those. So what is your guys' opinion? Do you enjoy the cool packaging? Are you like Jim, where you're just like, let's attach this tape to a fucking saw blade and send it out? Speaking of which, I do have that release, and I also have the one that's on a small, I think it's a raccoon trap. I have that sitting over here too. So don't get me wrong, I may be annoyed with them, and I have to find like specific places to put them, but I definitely have as many of Jim's releases as I could possibly find. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you like the regular jewel cases? Are you okay with pouches? Are you okay with the crazy large packaging like VHS cases, or things that are completely off the wall, like saw blades or raccoon traps, things like that? What do you think? Is it just a pain in the ass for storage, but you're gonna buy it anyway? Do you have to keep a separate little box for your special stuff like I do? It's an interesting question. And what I really wanted to get into today, I'm going to bring up Fusty Cunt, and then also Dead Gods, who have the new Shredded Nerve and Scant right here. That's another interesting thing about packaging before I continue. What do you guys think about the Dead Gods packaging, where it's very patterned and they have the color coding? It's oh so beautiful. But then you have to, like, open it up to figure out which one it fucking is. There's no label on the outside. You have to, like, take the tape out. I just think that's funny. But what I really wanted to talk about with labels, digital availability, tapes, Bandcamp, things like this. Because noise has that sort of theme of deprivation, where it's not supposed to be easy to find necessarily. And I've noticed that a lot of labels and a lot of the tapes that I sell personally out of my collection are from labels that don't have a lot of digital availability, that don't have a Bandcamp, like Dead Gods. Like Dead Gods tapes, whenever I put them up, people are like, what is that Dead Gods tape that you have? They don't even care which one it is. They're just like, oh man, a Dead Gods tape. What if I missed that one? And so there's that extra sense of, like, you have to buy the tape to be able to hear this. Does that make sense? And I'm not sure exactly what the question I'm asking is. Is it just like, because obviously that increases sales, and it makes the label themselves just a little bit more desirable and popular, maybe, if you don't make your releases so easily available. I mean, bringing back up Fusty Cunt, I'm going to say Fusty Cunt as many times as I possibly can in this episode. Bringing back Fusty Cunt, I know Jim will probably never, ever have a Bandcamp. And every time a Fusty batch comes up, it goes pretty quickly. Just simply because you have to buy those tapes or get them from a distro or buy them used, or you're probably not going to hear that material. I mean, best luck is Soulseek, but still, like, Fusty Cunt tapes are decently hard to find. Like, I'm looking for one right now. I'm having a friend try and find me one from, I think, 2011. So there is definitely that added aspect. And then you consider labels that didn't used to have a Bandcamp, but have now gotten one and are actually slowly filling out their back catalog. Like, I know for sure Phage Tapes started a Bandcamp and is slowly putting that back catalog up on there. And that is awesome, because I know there's a lot of Phage Tapes that are, they're kind of hard to find. And I feel like at that point, when it's just dead stock and it's things that have been out of print for 10 years, what's the point of keeping it so hard to find? What's the point? I mean, from a marketing perspective, there's not too much point. So I think that's probably the idea that Phage has, and I think that Jim and Fusty is just so much of a purist and traditionalist. I don't think that'll ever happen. But I think Sam and Phage just feels like there's no point in keeping it hidden when it's obviously not going to like benefit me financially or benefit the artist financially necessarily. So I don't know. That's just something I wanted to bring up. I wanted to see if anybody has thoughts on that. Oh yeah, I was gonna say Total Black. Total Black definitely just started a Bandcamp as well, and that adds another little detail because with Bandcamp you don't have to upload everything. You can just add releases and not have them available for streaming, or just have like a single track or two available for streaming. Or if one particular artist doesn't want their stuff online, you can put up the rest of the artist's stuff and then just not that one. And I've seen that happen a couple times with Total Black and with other labels as well. I think New Forces did that once for an interracial sex tape. So there's a middle ground to play there also, where you don't have to upload everything and where some things can still be harder to find or only exclusive to physical releases. I don't know. Anybody have any opinions? Do you think Bandcamp is ruining that sort of integrity of noise? Do you think that every label should do that so it's easier to get access to? Because I can see arguments from both sides of it, really. It also comes in with things like Total Black, and I know White Centipede also, Screaming Riot / Absurd Exposition. It's difficult to get things overseas to America, and then I'm sure that it's difficult vice versa to get American tapes overseas, which is why I mentioned things like Screamin' Riot and White Centipede, who I know are very good distros who have a little sway with overseas shipping so they can keep prices low. But I imagine that's another part of it, is even if it's pretty available overseas, especially with the way mail has been over the last year, it's difficult to get any copies to America or vice versa. And so, I've been waiting a while just to be able to find copies of certain things ever since COVID hit. And it is weird to be sort of isolated from noise, no matter where you are. And that's something that comes up today. How smooth is that segue? Something comes up today with my interviewee, my friend Edvin Norling. Wonderful, wonderful person. I'm so happy to have them on the podcast. Pollutant, Peking Crash Team. You know them, you love them. Let's get into it. Okay, I think I got it.
Yeah.
All right. Yep, it was on my end. I don't know why it wanted to select my Scarlett as an input and an output, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I'm using my Scarlett as an input, but then I have like my computer speakers.
Yeah.
Through my headphone aids. So I might. Do you hear me okay?
Yep, everything's good over here.
Cool. If there's like slamming and stuff in the background, it's because my girlfriend is doing dishes. So no if it's a problem, I can ask her to postpone for a while. So.
That's no problem. I mean, I've got cats; they'll run around and yeah. If you listen to the interview with Adam, you can tell that they're banging around on everything. And I'm like, really, right now?
Yeah, it's a noise podcast anyway, so
right.
Audio quality and stuff.
How's it going, man? How's it going?
It's good. I'm currently preparing to submit my final degree paper. So nice. we're doing like a peer review thing where some people read my paper and I read some other person's paper. So it's extremely hot here. Extremely hot. It's like 25 Celsius, maybe. I don't know what that's in Fahrenheit, but it's like summer heat, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's definitely getting hot here. Heck yeah.
With a Norling school.
Very nice. Well, that's exciting. Congrats. And I imagine it's got to be kind of nerve-wracking reading somebody else's paper and peer reviewing.
Not. I thought I'd be like more nervous about it, but it's a pretty solid paper.
That's good.
It's about like world literature and stuff in like Swedish education.
Nice.
It's pretty interesting. It kind of borders on what my paper is about. It's about like what the process of feeling empathy with fictional characters
That's super cool.
works. So how you can like do that from different partly like psychological perspectives, like what is empathy, how does empathy work, and also like how do you feel empathy towards a fictional character that's like not real, it's just words on a page. So it's pretty cool. I think hopefully I'll pass and like it's all good.
I mean, just from the concept, that sounds fascinating. You know,
it's pretty cool. There's been like a few studies on it, like how empathy for fictional characters work. There's a really good thesis I read called Death Porn by some guy, and he wrote like a lot about Lolita. He wrote about Gonzo, hardcore porn, like kinds of things, and he wrote about like eating meat in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas versus eating meat in like The Sims and stuff like that. He's written like a whole chapter on what do they call it? A death grind band. They make songs about animals killing people.
Oh. Cattle decapitation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a whole chapter on cattle decapitation.
That's awesome.
Really sick thing because in Swedish. I don't think it's available in English. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Well, that's pretty freaking
trying
cool.
To be probably sounds a lot cooler than it is. I'm trying to be a NEET all summer. Since I'm applying for like jobs start in the autumn, so
kind of nice to have it done though. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I was gonna ask you, like, that was like do you have two projects, or is there just like Pollutant and there's a Speaking Crash team, and am I missing something?
Erectile dysfunction unit.
That's right.
My noise core project. Then I have a core noise project that Jim Harris is supposed to be releasing, I think.
Ooh.
Called Craniofacial Deformity.
Nice.
Real stupid, like just
real stupid
core noise.
Nice.
Drum machines and stuff.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Not sure how much difference it made. My camera has like a weird green tint, so
that's all right. This is a new computer, so I'm like, wow, this looks good.
yeah. Like I switched from. I have like a million laptops. I feel like, and none of them work particularly well. So for a while back, I bought a new like super fat gaming rig.
Nice.
So I had to buy like a separate webcam and stuff. It was pretty weird, but. So now it looks like I'm a Twitch streamer.
There you go.
I'm like in my setup because I got some fucking like RGB keyboard with when I bought the computer. So I really look like a gamer, like a gaming station. Right?
That's all right. one of the big things I wanted to ask you about is, well, of course, I'm from America. You're from Sweden,
Yeah.
and obviously there are sort of noise cultures in both countries, and I feel like we've talked before about feeling kind of like isolated even within our own countries from stuff. But I remember when we were setting this up and how and every time I need to like do time zone checks, I always forget that other countries are so small that they only have one.
Yeah.
And we have four.
Yeah. And it's pretty weird. Like it's the other way around for me. Like I have a really hard time grasping that like the time is the same in New York as it is in like San Francisco or whatever. Like I'm for someone who has like a lot of contact, relatively at least with like the US, I'm embarrassingly bad at US geography. So when someone says like, yeah, I'm from, I don't even know when it is, like Indianapolis. I have no idea where that is.
Indianapolis,
no idea. Which is, I think it's pretty fair because most Americans are pretty bad at Swedish geography, so it kind of cancels out.
In every other place, geography, like
yeah. Yep. Like the only time I've actually visited the US, I went to Florida a couple of years back, and this one guy actually made like the classic mix-up between Sweden and Switzerland, which was pretty funny. Yeah, fucking weird place.
So being from a smaller country, do you think it's easier to connect with people, or do you think it's just kind of like so smaller that it's just sort of proportional, you know? Like if you just have fewer people, so that's still like those little small niches.
Yeah, I think it's like both yes and no. That was a yes or no question, but both yes and no. Like on the one hand, you have these little cliques, like you have like the Gothenburg scene with the VMS Elite and Zero Election and, you know, Arvamilia and stuff like that in Gothenburg. Then you have like this Sundsvall Power Electronics with Automania and Young Hustlers and, you know, and like some people in Stockholm, but mostly Johan, I guess. And, you know, so there's like, that's on the one hand, but on the other hand, since it is like a small country, so you like to see people around a lot more. Like when I played my first ever live show, like it wasn't at like a close to private event. I almost got into a fight with one of the members of IRM because he thought I had such a bad attitude. Because I went right up into his face when he was standing like in the front, where I was like running around and being angry, I guess.
Yeah.
And he took it to mean that I like singled him out because I knew he was an IRM. I had no idea who he was. He was just like some fucking guy in a leather jacket, and I thought like, yeah, he can take it. Like, and then he got, I won't say he got like really mad at me, but he came up to me afterwards and like started giving me shit for having like a bad attitude, I guess, and then he left.
Silly.
So, and like, I live like a town over from Roger from Brighter Death Now. Like it's 40 minutes from here. So yeah, it's kind of both ways. Like you have these little cliques, but you see them around a lot.
Yeah.
You like I have a friend who like he's not like in the noise scene, but he's from the same town as a lot of people like in the Sundsvall Power Electronics scene. So he's like hung around with them a lot, and he's like in some Facebook groups they have and whatever. So it's like you really notice like it's a small country. especially when you're doing noise. Like I went to one Alphamania show within Stockholm a while back, and I recognized like a lot more people than I thought I would there.
Oh boy!
Like that I've seen like that I have on Facebook or like follow them on Instagram or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of both ways, I guess, which is fun.
Yeah. And so you have quite a few projects, and
yeah,
not like a bunch, because like there's people like Richard who have so many that I don't even know how he keeps track of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep it to my 2 just because I kind of like to keep my styles separate. So, I mean, what is it for you? Like, what's the difference between each of them? Do you just, what gets you to start another project? Like, what makes you want to be like, this is not the same as Pollutant or Peking Crash?
I think I've always like had that kind of mindset, I guess. I don't play in a lot of bands anymore, but back when I was like still playing like real music or whatever, with instruments and stuff, I remember reading like an interview with one of the Porsche Isolation guys from because I back when I was like 16, I guess I listened to like a lot of Sexstrom and Jackman and Danish new wave black metal stuff. So I read an interview with them, and he talked about like, oh yeah, Copenhagen didn't really have like a scene for that, and so me and my friend just started like a million projects. So we make it seem like we had like an active music scene. And so me and like the people I rented my rehearsal space together with, we started like a ton of bands, and we made like 2 or 3 songs each, like put some shit out on Bandcamp, and then we're like, yeah, okay, let's start another band. It's like the same 4 people, like 15 bands or something. So I guess like that still kind of stuck with me. And also I like to focus on one thing. So with Pollutant, it's power electronics and like harsh noise. And with Peking Crashing, it's strictly harsh noise. With erectile dysfunction unit, it's more like live oriented noise score stuff and brain patient deformity. It's, more traditional like drum machine or noise stuff. So I guess I like to keep things organized that way. So when I try like a new genre or like a new style or something, I like to make a new project just to like, I don't know, organize my thoughts, I suppose.
No, that makes sense, because that's pretty much dead on why I have like Coumadin and RAM ventilation separate, is because it's strictly harsh noise, power electronics.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned you used to make real music. So was it something like that, like the Posh Isolation interview, or what actually got you from the real music into noise originally?
I think like back when I was in secondary school, when I was like 15, 16, I can't remember how I came across it, but I think I found it like on YouTube. I heard a track from the Arve tape Stenberg och Pyromanen on YouTube, and I like one track in like 5 minutes, and I listened to it and I was like, this is so fucking cool. Because at the time I was listening to a lot of like kind of like essential raw black metal stuff, like Sump and Bone All, Galloping Shadow, that said, like all of those Fallow Fields stuff.
So good.
I still listen to a lot of that. And so like the leap from like that really, really raw black metal into like harsh noise wasn't that far, I think, because I've thought about this, I guess, because it's like a question I keep getting from like more people that aren't into noise. Like how do you get into noise?
Yeah.
And for me, it's like I guess it was like looking for something more abrasive, more extreme than like what I listened to yesterday. And so I started listening to noise back then, and was playing like hardcore bands and shitty punk bands, and and I don't know, and then I just figured like, why not just making the shit myself? So Pollutant was probably the first like noise related project I started, I think.
Yeah.
It's because I'm a real life black metal freak, I guess. And I was sent me on my way into harsh noise.
Well, I was a big
like that.
I was a big death metal geek and a big black metal geek for a long time, and Prurient got me into noise because when Frozen Niagara Falls came out and it had all sorts of the keyboards and stuff, and then Pitchfork like gave it like an 8.3 or something like that, and I was such a hipster turd back then. That was and that was it, and now I just make all sorts of junk, and I have way too many pedals over here that are outside of the camera frame.
I have like whenever I have people over to visit, they always comment on how extremely messy my setup is. Just like a million cables everywhere and a big stuff.
I like messy cables. I don't know what it is about a big pile of cables, but it makes me happy.
yeah. So
I guess there's all my stuff.
Yeah, that's the bearing your skin.
Yeah, the Neutron.
Yeah, do you like it?
Oh, I love this thing. Yeah, I talked about it in the last episode, and
nice.
Yeah, I freaking love it. It's basically what I use for Coumadin now is a mixture of that, and then I do some layering and extra texture stuff with the Moog, and
nice.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I've heard like a lot of good things about it, but since like the only thing I spend my hard-earned cash on now is like more fucking Eurorack modules and distortion pedals. So
yeah, it's got the nice patch bay to it. I don't know how well you could work it into something, but it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anything you want to add? Anything you wanted to chat about? Anything you have coming out that you want to announce?
I guess. Like I said, I have like Gordon's tape coming out. Probably I have a new Peking Crash Team tape planned on Abhorrent AD.
Sweet.
What else? I don't know. I'm supposed to be recording new Pollutant material. Finally, I haven't recorded anything since like May last year. Or I haven't released anything since May last year. I haven't recorded anything since like almost a year and a half back. So it'd be good to like get back on that.
Yeah, I know how that feels. I didn't record almost anything for 2020, and I was just like,
yeah, but I guess like that's like something I've had to learn to live with, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because like especially last year, I had like a lot in like to do with my studies, and also I worked like a pretty mentally demanding job. I worked at like a assisted living space for old schizophrenics. So
oh boy. Yeah.
It was like 7 like 60 plus schizophrenics. Just they have like their own apartments and stuff, but they have like staff present at all times. It was a super, super nice job. I think we spoke about it once on Facebook.
I believe we've talked about it before because it's kind of similar to what my girlfriend does. My girlfriend works at assisted living. Just not for schizophrenics, obviously, which is definitely a different level of care.
yeah, I think mostly because like my girlfriend worked at like a home for dementia patients at the time, and at first I thought that like these schizophrenics they're going to be fucking crazy, but these people are like all of them are like over 60 years old, and they've taken like lithium and super strong like benzodiazepines and like morphines and stuff for 40 years, so they don't really have like much energy to be crazy. They just sit around and drink coffee like old people do. But like sometimes they think you're trying to poison them or stuff like that. So so like I worked a lot and I studied a lot, and I was living in like an apartment that was this big, so couldn't really do anything like parties all the time. So like hard recording stuff, and like also just like my mental health, I guess. After like I played after I played the show in Stockholm at live at Peking and tape is recorded from.
Nice.
I like never returned my gear to my rehearsal space, and so I just kept it like at home, which is I live in an apartment. I can't just record power electronics vocals and just like up and do it. And now they're going to be like closing my rehearsal space because the building's like condemned, I guess. So now I have to like empty that fucking shithole. Like 6 years worth of junk I've collected.
Oh boy.
Like I have to find like a new way to record vocals at home, which is I don't know. It's not really looking forward to it, but it's got to be done. I promised a lot of people a lot of tapes from Pollutant, so gotta get on that.
Oh jeez, the irony that my mom sent me a photograph from IKEA, and they have these weird sort of like discs that you connect together as soundproofing for a room. Yeah. I just thought that was funny, and I was like, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it was like there's always been speaking of like buying stuff, I guess, because I was going to say like, yeah, it would be nice, but I don't have any fucking money.
Yeah, no, sure.
And it was like there's always been like one of the things with like harsh noise and other related genres. Like one of the charming things about it is that like you kind of make do with what you have.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, of course. Like harsh noise people are like among the most gear-oriented people I've ever came across, apart from like middle-aged guitarists.
Oh, so, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not like this pedal is good and that pedal like classic guitars, but like they have to own one, and but like to a certain degree, it's like you kind of make do with what you got, and like you think like junk metal abuse and use what you have around you. I've always been like fascinated and like inspired by that, because it's like how I liked to work when I made like real music also. Because I'm a firm believer in that like creative restrictions ultimately is good for you, because you have to like really use things you have and like figure out new creative ways to use all the stupid shit you buy off Facebook Marketplace. Partly also because like currently I'm living like of student loans, and like my rent is half of my monthly income, so I don't have like much leeway.
Yeah.
So if I buy something, I want to make sure like I use it. So like the cost per use like goes down. Which is why I'm still using like the exact same harsh noise setup I've used since the start, like Peking Crash Team and stuff. Big Muff and my DoD Death Metal pedal.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But really, and then you say that it forces you to use the materials that you have, and that's something that's interesting, because if you listen to the last couple of tapes that you have, because I have all of your freaking tapes, if you listen to them, you can't listen and be like, he's not changing pedals, you know? Yeah. And that's ultimately what it is you can't really tell. What you can tell is somebody who is not trying to be artistic, who is not putting anything into it. What you can't tell is how cheap their pedals are.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that I've been I've been talking a lot about this with like my brother, because he's I don't want to say he's a film student, because he isn't, but he's studying, like he's made like his big thing is making documentaries.
Nice.
So he's made like 2 documentaries about like there's a football player in my town who was like really famous in the 90s, and then he started drinking a lot, and then he got fired from the team, and now he's like this old guy sitting in the same pub every day, and like lost his job at the sporting goods store. And he made a documentary about him, and like we talked about how it's the kind of exact same. It's like opposite ends of the spectrum, I guess, because like the documentaries, you always want to get like the most. I don't know anything about cameras, but like the best stuff, and you want to have like multiple angles and stuff. And there's not to me, I guess it seems like there's not like much room to really focus on maybe 2 or 3 pieces of gear and like really use them, like squeeze the last drop of the usability out of them every time.
Yeah.
Like finding new ways to use them, like new combinations and new techniques with them. Just like partly I feel like the good days, I feel like it's like the mark of a competent noise artist, that they can use like the same kind of setup and create like a whole range of different sounds, even though like technique and setup is basically the same. But most of the time I kind of feel like a hack, because you know, I just plug my fucking pedals in, I hit record on my computer, and then, you know, I fiddle around with my electrified cheese grater for 15 minutes, and then like, I have a tape. I don't know. People keep buying them, so I guess I'm gonna keep making them, I guess.
And that's really the point, isn't it? Is that, you know, people enjoy it, and then like there's something about people just enjoying your stuff, especially in this kind of thing where it's just like, even if you made like $3 off of it or no dollars off of it, or you like, I'd lose $5 to have somebody to listen to my tape and enjoy it.
Yeah. I think like I think about this a lot, and in the years that I've been making noise music, I've probably lost money overall. Like, and that's like also one of the things I really enjoy about like harsh noise and like the harsh noise scene, that everyone loses money, I guess, mostly.
And it's the passion for it, you know. It's the people that people care so much about it that it doesn't super matter, that they love it more than money, I guess. Yeah,
that was like speaking of people enjoying your stuff, still kind of catches me off guard, like when someone I don't know or like don't speak to a lot, like maybe like I don't know, on Facebook, like reaches out and, you know, tells me, I really enjoyed the last tape. But like when you see someone, you have no idea who they are, and like they posted your tape on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
or like I was talking this with a friend who like recently started like making harsh noise finally, like listening to it a lot. I convinced them to get a death metal pedal. So now they're like, they have like gotten like a few releases, like compilation tracks out, which is super cool.
That's nice.
We were talking about this, and she was like ecstatic that someone made like a discards page for our project.
Yeah.
And I still remember like the feeling, and I like sometimes I just go look at my own discards page.
Yeah.
And see if now I guess someone had like added a rating on an album, or like someone's keeping this updated, or it's still pretty wild. People are buying my stuff. Like when I started, I never thought I'd be able to like say like, oh, you can't get this tape anymore because it's sold out on the label. Like I have no artist copies left, except like one. That's my personal copy. Right? I still think it's crazy. Which I guess is good, because one of my worst fears with this is like becoming fat and happy with like being able to consistently get stuff released.
Yeah.
I don't want to start expecting people to release my my stuff. Like if I send something to like a label or whatever, I want them to release it because it's good, and not because like it's
because it has a name attached to it.
yeah. That's still great. Like I have such a hard time believing that like the name Pollutant or Peking Crash Team, wherever, like holds any weight whatsoever. I find it like really, really hard to grasp.
Yeah. But it's a cool feeling though.
Yeah, it is. It really is. That's like one of my favorite jokes to make when I like talk to people here in Sweden. It's like that. Yeah, pretty big in the States. Because no one gives a shit here. But like I have a lot more fans in the US than I have in Sweden, which is, I don't know. Maybe I'm like a scene trader, but like in Norrköping where I live, it's, as far as I know, I'm the only one who actively does harsh noise here. So
yeah, I know that I am for hundreds of miles in any direction from here, probably. Well, at least 100. Because Fargo is the closest. Yeah,
I keep forgetting. Like Fargo is a real place. Like I recently watched the TV series, and I keep.
It's
like
not.
Whenever I see,
it's not that cool. Fargo isn't that cool.
Oh yeah, but like whenever I see like someone from Fargo posting stuff on my Facebook, I'm like, oh yeah, that's like a real place where people live. That's kind of weird. I have like a super weird relationship with the United States for whatever reason. Like it's, I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe. Like, and I imagine it's also like pretty hard to imagine when you're like from the States that like American culture has such a huge impact like over here. Like a huge impact.
That's crazy.
Because I'm like getting my degree as a Swedish teacher, I like talked about this a lot with like my students, that when it's like a sale in a store here, more often than not, you see them using the English word sale instead of like the Swedish word for it.
Yeah.
Like more often than not. Like a lot of American culture and language and stuff is like, super big over here. And so I have a kind of weird relationship with the United States, because on the one hand, I wish it didn't have such a big impact over here, but on the other hand, like, I have so many friends in the US that are like normal people. I guess normal people in air quotes. Because all of them.
People who don't want it to say sail, don't want to infect the world with our language or anything like that. And
like the language
things
is
like that, and they're
big,
just like, what?
Yeah, and it's like the language thing is like just an example, like, on how pervasive it is, because like you see a lot of stuff, like ad campaigns and stuff from Swedish companies in Sweden, like, that are completely in English, stuff, and not like availability reasons, because like none of the road signs and stuff are in English or whatever, no info signs on English. It's just like the fucking ad campaigns. Like it's really pervasive. So I have a weird relationship with the States, because on the one hand, like, I really like the people that I know in the United States, but on the other hand, I think like the country's super weird.
Yeah.
Like,
and we know,
fucking strange place.
And we know for the most part. Yeah. And I guess that is kind of what it comes down to when you have a very large country versus, I mean, we aren't even like the biggest country by any means. I can't even imagine what it would be like in, Russia or China.
Yeah.
But still, like, very large compared to a lot of, the European countries.
Yeah, especially to Sweden. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not like sure on the scaling, but I think like California is basically the same size as Sweden. Maybe, not sure, but like.
And there are people in California and people who in here are like not the same people. Not even remotely.
Yeah, and like there's probably more people living in Los Angeles than there are living in the entirety of Sweden.
Yeah, so I guess it's just the law of averages that there's more crazy people in this country than over there. Just Trump voters.
Yeah, I guess, but we have those here too. Right?
Oh, no.
That's like another thing. Like there was a huge thing here. Trump, like people going like QAnon and stuff. Like over here, it doesn't matter over here.
What?
In that way, but it was like because I'm like really fascinated by like new age people on Facebook. It's like one of the funniest things I know. And in these groups, there are like 1 million QAnon posts all the time.
Oh no!
And like a million people like really like supporting Donald Trump, when it's like doesn't really matter over here if he gets elected or not, like who gets elected in the States or not, but not in that way. Like he's not going to come over here and like drain the swamp or whatever.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
He's just gonna play golf behind the White House.
Yeah, pretty much.
As always. So it's like it's pretty weird. Like the U.S. is like always present, but in like a weird way, I guess. Nothing to do with like harsh noise whatsoever, but.
It's interesting because like it comes the same way, because from the U.S. we really love the Swedish noise. Like we really love yourself and sewer election and things like that, and those are the things that we pay $50 a tape for.
Yeah, like Felixraset, the magazine LP issue from a while back, and stuff like that. Yeah, that has always been like weird to me. Like, why Sweden? It's like
it just happened, and then there's just a bunch of. There are a bunch of little, enclaves or.
Yeah.
And then there are here too. You got the New York kind of set, and then for some reason it's just like Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Like Pittsburgh is not really a thing in any other context. So.
No, like the only thing I know about Pittsburgh is that it's featured in Fallout 3. That's like the only thing I know about Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I always also think of it's like a mass Pillsbury Doughboy. I always think of because the name sounds similar. I don't think Pillsbury Doughboy is from Pittsburgh. But,
no.
Which is kind of crazy, like how big, like how big of a country it is. Like
it really is.
I'm not really sure if I like can really comprehend the size.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, especially when, it's 10 hours from where I live in either direction. So if you go west, 10 hours to Denver, and if you go east, it's 10 hours to Chicago.
I've been to Chicago Airport once. And that's the only thing I've done in Chicago. That's the one with like the tunnel with the lights.
Yeah, that's O'Hare.
Yeah. I've been there and I saw like a service dog. That was the highlight of my stay in Chicago. Other than that, I haven't really been to the States. I really wish to like go back to the States. I'd really like to do I really like the tour in the US.
I think you'd be pretty successful doing a tour around here.
Yeah, like I think so. That, like maybe now I could pull it off. Like mostly it'll probably be to like have an excuse to visit like some of my friends in the US. Like I stay by Florida and visit Bolton and like Joe up in New Jersey and visit you in I can't remember. I can't remember the city. I was about to say Philadelphia, but that's a state.
Sioux Falls.
Yes, Sioux Falls. Yeah. Sushi and the Banshees. Same kind of spelling or whatever.
It's okay.
Like,
we are. Well, I mean, North Dakota and Fargo is like right here, and then I'm like down here. Like.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'd really like to do a tour in the US.
That would be cool.
Like I'd rather tour in the US than tour in Sweden. I think because I'd probably have a better time in the US. Just sleeping in some like moldy basement, like shagging down PBRs. That's that's what I imagine.
Yep, that's probably what it is. Realistically, that is us.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Like, and speaking like dream shows to play, I'd really like to play Summer Scum.
Oh yeah.
That's like on the top of my like noise bucket list.
Heck yeah.
That'd be sick.
I don't think you'd have too much trouble. Like if you ask the right people, I'm pretty sure you can get on there.
Yeah, like they flew VMS Elite out, so they could find me out. I'm not a big guy. Like I'm pretty cheap.
There you go.
cheap to like cheap to keep running. I suppose I don't eat a lot of food. Give me a burger a day, I guess. And so they could probably afford it, I think.
There you go. Well, it's been great talking to you, man. Anything else you want to add, or before I let you go here?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to give a shout out to Calf Puller.
Hey.
Super cool person. Give it like a year or so, and then I think think you have like yet another Swedish harsh noise project to like
Awesome.
keep an eye on, I guess.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, catch you later then.
Yeah. Have a good night.
You have a good night, and I will have a good. It is 12:40, so it's almost
okay.
quarter to 1
Have a good
PM.
lunch, I guess.
Yeah, right. Oh,
Yeah.
that's just so. That's weirder to think about than the geography, really. Is the time.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm ready to go to bed.
Alrighty.
Super tired.
Hey, just me sneaking back in at the end here again. I know these are long interviews, but I hope it gives you guys something to listen to. Hopefully these are enjoyable. Hopefully there's enough content of just me blathering beforehand to make it interesting. So I can still call it my podcast. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I'd like to thank Edvin. I'd like to thank just everybody who's participated in any way for this podcast. Gonna keep on going. Get an episode next week at the same time, same bad channel. Love you guys. Stay harsh.